We all feel like we know Joe Rogan. We all love Joe Rogan. We've watched Joe Rogan throughout all of his podcasts. We feel like we know him, like literally know him. We'll stand up for him. And he has said throughout the years, just on a few occasions, he has said that his father was not a good person. He was a terrible person, and I believe him. I recently stumbled across a video of Joe Rogan Sr., and he was doing a podcast with some guy that I have no idea who this guy is. I don't know. He's not popular. He thought this was going to be his golden ticket in order to put Joe Rogan Sr. on camera and ask him about Joe. And the response that Joe Rogan Sr. gave to this random interviewer on some random fucking podcast that I don't even suggest that you watch was disgusting. It was fucking disgusting. Joe claims, and I believe him, so Joe claims that his father was left by his mother when Joe was 7 because his father was abusive and he was a terrible, terrible, horrible, horrific person. This video of Joe Rogan Sr. slamming his son and attempting to stand up for himself just further cements that fact that he is a piece of shit. Even in his old age, he is still the same piece of shit that he probably was back then. I love Joe Rogan. He's put everything out to us, and for him to have seen this, and for him to have been hit up by his abusive piece of shit father that his mother had to leave because he was abusive and had anger management issues and was a terrible father, and so Joe Rogan's mother left him. And for him to come back after Joe reaches all of the success, fortune, and fame, having the #1 podcast in the world, for him to come back and attempt to get into Joe Rogan's life is fucking despicable. It's disgusting. Fuck that old man. Fuck you. And I can't believe that Joe Rogan held it together the way he did, because that shit is hurtful. That shit is so hurtful. Like, fuck you. Like, if I was Joe, I would say, I don't fucking know you. Leave me alone. You want a piece of me now because of who I am, and yet throughout my entire life, you didn't call me once. You didn't find me once. You didn't hunt me down, track me down, and ask for equal custody or ask to see your son, and yet you want a piece of me now that I'm Joe fucking Rogan? Fuck you. That's what I would have said. But he held it together. He held it together much better than I would have been able to hold it together myself. And I respect that. Joe Rogan Sr., man, he's a piece of shit. He, in this interview, said things like, he said, Joe talked about me, and so then I had to go after him. I had to bury him from that moment forth because he's a liar. He's done nothing. He's a liar. He's not saying correct things. He's inaccurate, and he's just a drama queen. Yeah, get fucked, buddy. You're the same piece of shit you've always been. Thank God Joe Rogan didn't grow up with you. You're fucking disgusting, man. Fuck you. This gets me so angry because I have this myself, and my dad wanted nothing to do with me. And now that I'm becoming something, and now that I'm on YouTube, which I know that my YouTube isn't growing, but it will grow. I don't want my dad coming back into my life and saying, hey son, how are you? I don't want anything to do with that clown. You didn't want me then, you don't deserve me now. You know, my dad was in high school when he had me, but my mom was also in high school, and she dropped everything to raise her son the best she could. I have an amazing mom. I talk to her every single day. My dad, on the other hand, just left. He just said, sayonara. I don't want anything to do with you. And, you know, I was raised by his parents part-time, but my dad just went off and went to school and became a jolly businessman and doesn't even live here. He lives across the United States. I have 2 half-brothers that I don't even know. How sad is that? He has his family. So I don't want anything to do with that fucking clown. He's a piece of shit, and he is he's just not a good human. You know, it always amazes me, getting back to my story, it always amazes me how sometimes the people that appear to be the most successful are actually the most miserable. And it's because they have sold themselves out. They have pimped themselves out. And in return for all that money, they've lost everything that matters to them. They've lost the things that money can't buy, like time and like relationships with their family, with their son. And he gave it all away. So if my dad wanted to come back into my life, I would say, get fucked. Get fucked. You know, I said I was raised part-time by my grandparents, and my grandfather he was my father. You know, he called me son, and he passed away. You know, and I not too long ago, and I was shattered. That's the first time I'd seen my dad in probably 10 years at that funeral, and I want nothing to do with him. Don't cry now. You're the one that left. You know, I don't want anything to do with you now. I'm 30 years old now. Like, I could have used you back then. And am I upset about it? You're damn right I'm upset about it. Because I don't even have children yet. But I would walk to the end of the earth and fight for my children. I would not leave my child. I don't care what I had going on. My life ends at that point when theirs begins. And I would do absolutely anything to be the best man, the best father I could be within their lives. So I guess my dad did teach me a very valuable lesson, you know, but it's very painful because at that funeral, he wanted to speak to me, and I told him to get fucked. I said, you're not my father. My father's in that fucking casket. You have nothing to do with my life. You've never wanted anything to do with my life, and you're an absolute piece of shit. And he is, guys, you know, and it's sad. But some people are like that. Some people, I don't know, you know, I've always been curious if, and I know that Joe probably feels the same way. I know that he's came to peace with his father's decisions throughout his childhood, but I myself think from time to time, I just sit and wonder, why did he do that? Why did my dad not want anything to do with me? Was it me? Was it? And it wasn't me. It was him. Because you make your own decisions in life. And Joe's father made his own decision. You know, I believe Joe Rogan when I am told by Joe that his father was an abusive drunk, just a terrible, terrible person that would beat his mother. That's why she had to leave. I believe him because even Joe Rogan Sr. today, currently, within the last couple of years when he was on this podcast, he had called Joe Rogan a fucking pansy and said that he thought he was gay, called him a sissy. He was like, I could tell that boy was soft. Yeah, that boy was 4. That boy was Joe Rogan, and he was 4. So what the fuck is wrong with you? What is wrong with you? That really hit me deep because I feel that, and I'm sure a lot of you guys feel that. If you grew up with a dad that cares about you, my God, you're lucky. You are so lucky. You know what I would do to have that? Do you know what I would have done to have had that? To have a father figure. You know, when you go throughout life without a father figure, fortunately Joe had a stepdad. You know, they're hippies and they traveled and he got to experience the world and meet so many new, or at least the United States. He got to be ingrained within so many different cultures and he got to see the United States and have his surroundings change. And I think that's what made him such a beautiful orator and such a great interviewer, is because he was around all different types of people. He got to experience many, many different forms of humans, and he got really good at speaking to people. You know, he's seen just about everything. Thank God that Joe Rogan had his stepdad, and my God, that man should be so proud of himself. For you to not only love and get married to someone of the opposite sex, being Joe Rogan's mom, but more importantly, You take upon that responsibility that Joe Rogan Sr. couldn't handle, and you step into Joe's mom's life, and then also accept Joe Rogan as a child. Man, that's so commendable, and that man deserves everything. That's Joe Rogan's dad, not this clown that is a Pittsburgh Steelers fan. Nothing wrong with that, but just he's a clown. This guy is despicable. He's everything that a deadbeat father is, and he doesn't hold himself accountable to this day for anything that he's done. He just wants money. He just wants money. And if you weren't there when Joe Rogan started off, then you don't deserve anything now. Sorry. Joe doesn't fucking know you. He wants nothing to do with you. Leave him alone. You've done enough. You've ruined it. He could have came back all these years later and just apologized. I think Joe might have accepted it. I don't know. We're all different. I can't tell what Joe Rogan would have done. It could have been potentially mended, but nah, he didn't do that. He went out and he did the same shit that he probably did back in the day when Joe was a child. And he opened his fucking mouth and took no accountability for his actions whatsoever after all of these years. So you don't get any of Joe's money. You don't get Joe's time. You leave him the fuck alone. And you go finish out the tiny segment of your miserable life that you have left. Because you made your own bed. Now you have to lie in it. That's what I would only imagine Joe is thinking. But it has to hurt him. And so, we're all part of Joe's family. We respect Joe Rogan a lot. And Joe Rogan means a lot to me because he's got me through a lot. And I've learned from his podcasts, and he's been a consistent theme throughout my life. He's definitely impacted at least me, probably you guys as well, in an unfathomable way, a way that you can't even really comprehend because he's just always there. And we've laughed with him, we've cried with him, and it's a beautiful thing what Joe Rogan is doing. Don't let your father back in your life, unless you decide to, but I don't see anything good coming from that. And just like my situation, my dad has nothing to do with me. I don't want anything to do with him. If I became Joe Rogan, don't speak to me. You didn't want me back then. You don't deserve me now. I don't need him. That's the thing. I don't need him. Because they don't know the real him. Now, my dad wasn't abusive. He just wasn't there. Just wasn't there. My dad loves to chase money. And he sacrificed everything in order to chase money. And he's relatively successful. But I don't want a fucking thing from him. Because he's not a part of my life, I would have liked him to have been a father when I was younger. There's a lot of things I could have learned from him. But he wasn't there. He acted like the mistake he made in high school, being me, didn't exist. And he just continued along his path and made everyone around him pick up the slack. He's a piece of shit. And I don't want anything to do with him now because I don't know him. Just because someone is related to you, just because someone is your blood, doesn't mean that they're family. Family is forever. Family is you can call that person at 3 a.m. in the morning and they'll come and pick you up from whatever shitty situation you put yourself in. Family is the person that will love you and genuinely want you to be happy. When you give them good news, they don't put it off or put you down. They are actually really genuinely happy for you. And a father in particular is someone who sacrifices their own life for the betterment of yours. They give you everything because they want you to have the things that they didn't have. They want to train you in the best way possible to tackle the world and to be responsible and be honorable and be courageous and be giving and be loving and be both feared and loved, because you don't have to use the fear because people respect you. All of these things encompass what a father should have taught their son. And Joe Rogan's stepdad obviously did an incredible job. He did an incredible job. He raised an amazing person. So kudos to him. And guys, you probably know this. A lot of you guys are probably in the same boat. It's not a rarity, unfortunately, for people not to have fathers within their lives, and it's sad. But it's just the reality of the world that this is more common than we would like it to be. Some people aren't men. It takes a very, very courageous man to step up to the plate and take upon the responsibility of raising a child. Some people aren't ready for it. Some people cower. Some people leave. And if you do that, then I have no respect for you, because the child didn't ask to be here. It was your stupid decision. It was your lack of planning if it was unexpected. Either way, it wasn't the child's fault at all. It was your fault. And you are now responsible for another human life. So you can grab life by the balls and take responsibility and actually hold yourself accountable for your actions and raise that child. Or you could be a piece of shit deadbeat and bounce. Either way. But I'm not going to judge you on what you should have done. I judge you based on what you did do. And in my case, my dad was an absolute fucking loser. It's a joke. The last time I went out to see him, he lives in Florida now. He's some big shot in Florida. Dude had not grown up at all. He's the same motherfucker he was in college. He's successful, he's smart, but he just likes to drink and go to fancy things with his loser friends. And I don't mean that to disparage him. I mean, he acts like he's still in a frat. He's just a big frat kid that never grew up. He never grew up. To this day, he doesn't take responsibility. You know, I hear how well he's doing, and I'm happy for him. You know, but I don't want people to think I'm not happy for him. I just think that he's giving up the most important thing he could ever obtain, and that's time with his children now. I don't consider myself to really be his child, but he has children now. He has the opportunity to rewrite what he did with me, because I don't want anything to do with him. But there's two other beautiful children out there, my brothers that I don't know. You know, I have two brothers that I don't know. I have another brother here on my mom's side that I love. I talk to him every day. You know, I'm there for him. I would do anything for him. I'd take a bullet for him. I love him. I have two other brothers that I don't know at all. And from what I hear, my dad doesn't know them either because he's too busy. He's too fucking busy. He ignores them. He's not concerned with the things that they do. You know, when I was younger, I liked stupid, silly things. I was a kid. For a point in time, I once thought I'd be a magician. I loved doing magic tricks. I was massive into Yu-Gi-Oh! I enjoyed skateboarding when I was younger. I liked so many different things. And I liked ventriloquist dummies for a while, which is pretty strange, but you know, it takes a real man and a real father to get interested in the things that your son likes and to actually care. My dad wasn't like that. He didn't care. Like, he was just like, leave me the fuck alone. I have work to do. You know, he didn't want anything to do with me until my mom was struggling, you know, and he was out here not helping. And so she had to take him to court, and she said, you know, I just want a little bit of help. And he looked at that number based on what he was making, and he said, no, I'll take him half time. I'll take him part of the time. No problem. I would just sit. He wasn't even home. He was never home. I was raised by my grandparents. He wanted nothing to do with me. It was like he didn't exist. I was a burden to him and to my stepmom. And my stepmom's not a terrible person. You know, it's not her problem. So I get it. It's my dad's fault. He wanted nothing to do with me. He acted like I was just, I don't know, I just sat in my room, you know, and just didn't want to be there because I felt like I was in the house with strangers, and that lasted for a little bit. And I was like, I don't want to do this anymore, you know. Then my dad left. It was like, thanks a lot. Thanks for being a piece of shit. In hindsight, I realize now that it wasn't me. It was him. But at the time, I I thought it was me. I thought something was wrong with me. I thought that I fucked up in some way, and that's maybe why he didn't want to spend time with me. You know, I was a kid. I didn't have the wisdom that I have now. Now I realize that he was the problem. And there's all these things, you know, people think he's such a massive success. It's like, you're not, dude. Because you don't understand that family is so much more important than you give it credit for. And you don't spend time and attention making an effort to get involved within the lives of the people around you, like his two sons now. And it's sad, man, but there's nothing I can do about it. It's not my problem. I just think it's sad because I don't want them. I mean, at least he's in their lives to a certain extent, like he lives there. But I don't want him to miss out 2 more times on having a relationship with someone that could blossom into an incredible human being. Because that's the whole reason we're on this planet, is to love someone more than we love ourselves. And the more people you can offer that to consistently, the better your life will be. And so, Joe, I just have to say that you're doing great, and fuck your dad. Fuck him. He's a piece of shit. No one believes him. We believe you. We don't know him. It's a hiccup, and it's probably a bit uncomfortable for this to be in the public limelight, but that old fuck is gonna come and go. You know, I can only imagine how difficult it is being Joe Rogan, because you don't know if his father actually, now we do know, now that he opened his mouth, but initially he might have thought to himself, wow, maybe my father's actually trying to reconnect with me. But the problem with being Joe Rogan is he's so successful that he has to be skeptical. And rightfully so, because as it turned out, his father was exactly that. Just someone that was trying to get a paycheck. Someone that was trying to defend the wrongs that he did way back then. And funny enough, he's the same fucking douchebag now. So if I was Joe Rogan, I would just brush it off. And he has done that. So we're here for you, Joe. And if you guys have children, and you're a man especially, and if you have a son especially, be in their lives. Be concerned with what they want. There are no do-overs in life when it comes to raising children. And although I don't have children, I've thought about this so much from my own experience growing up, having the lack of a father. Just be there for them. They don't want you to be Superman, because you are Superman to them. You could be a trash man. You could be a UPS delivery driver. You could work at a grocery store. You could do hard labor. You could mow lawns. You could do anything. Be a worker at Taco Bell. And as long as you are there for that child and you teach them love and compassion and strength and you guide them, you automatically are their superhero. You know, your dad is supposed to be your superhero. And it doesn't take money. You don't have to be the best. You don't have to be the person that everyone envies, because that is just a facade, guys. For the most part, that's nothing but a lie. Some of the people that look the happiest online are actually the most miserable in reality. And they have to project that out to the world in order to make themselves feel better. So if you're a father and you do that currently, then, man, be so proud of yourself, because that's an amazing thing, and that's so rare, and it shouldn't be, but it is. And if you're someone that grew up without a father, just know that, take it from me, you could still make it. I've made it, and I didn't need him, and I don't need him. You could make it, no matter how bad your situation is. Don't use that as a crutch. Let it go. Don't forget about it, but let it go, because you have your own life to live. And it might have been a blessing in disguise, because I guarantee you that you would never do that to your children when you have them one day. Or if you currently have them, then you know. So, yeah, that's such a fucked situation. But Joe Rogan's dad is exactly the same person that he always was. He's a piece of shit.